Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. Look, I hope you've had an absolutely fantastic and sensational week wherever you are on this planet of ours. And I know some people haven't had a great week. What we're here trying to do is sort of put a little smile on your dial and brighten your day a little bit and take a couple of callers and have a little bit of fun. So this week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is one of my favourites, and I think it's everybody's favourite when we certainly talk about the Six of Pentacles and we talk about a raise in money or salary. I don't know too many people that don't like a little bit of extra money in the coffers. So this card sort of speaks for itself. It's sort of, yes, you've got somebody there doling out the gold coins as if to say, here's your raise, here's your money, here's your salary, here's what you deserve. So for those people that might be finding it a little bit tough at the moment, struggling financially, just know that there is sort of change in the air. There mightn't be necessarily any extra money in your pay packet this week, but you might find a way of stretching it a little bit more or getting something on a special price and getting a bargain price, which saves you money, which enables you then to sort of put that money to better use or somewhere else and sort of make things a little bit easier. I know a lot of people are struggling around the world at the moment with the cost of living. It's not just a local issue, it's a worldwide, global issue that a lot of people are struggling. And, hopefully we're going to get a little bit of relief soon. So this is a really positive card. It's something that when I see this come out in a reading, I always think, oh, good, we can exhale now. There's a little bit of relief on the way. It doesn't mean we're going to have mega bucks, but it just means there's a little bit of relief on the way. And that's always a nice thing. So we're going to move to the astrology section of the show now, and I get lots of inbox messages after the show and people saying how that they really look forward to it. And a lot of times people say to me, I go back and I listen to it a couple of times because each time I watch you and I listen to you, I get a little bit more out of it. What I endeavour to do is not sit down and break down the 12 signs. I want to give you a snapshot of how the planets are sitting just prior to the show. So it's right up to the minute. It's sort of showing you what we can expect in the next week. I'll describe the signs that it's going to affect. And, sometimes I say it's only a particular group of signs. Other times I'll say it'll incorporate the whole 12. So just listen out very carefully. So at the moment, the sun's still in Virgo. So happy birthday to all the Virgonians in the world. And they're lovely people. The world couldn't function without Virgos, keeping us in line, bringing out new fitness ideas, keeping us eating healthily and things like that. But I think the first thing that I learned one of the first things I learned in astrology was nitpicky Virgo. And that stuck with me for a long time. And every time after that I met a Virgo, I think, oh, you're too picky. I don't know whether I want to be friends with you. But it's not that they're picky. It just means that they're very pedantic. They like to understand the facts, the figures, the information that's there, and they'll sit there and they'll analyse it and they'll think about it. And then they'll come back with their answer out of it or their determination out of it. And some people see that as being a bit picky. No, they're just being very thorough. So if you want to really sort of understand a contract or make sure something's right, give it to a Virgo to read is my suggested course of action. So happy birthday to all the Virgos. We also have the planet of communication. Mercury is sitting in Virgo at the moment, all by his big self, not holding hands with anybody. So it's a time for all the 12 signs. If you are signing contracts, you are looking at things, or you need to do some negotiation, or you need to have that special conversation with your loved one or your boss or the next door neighbour or whatever, make sure you have all your facts straight. Make sure that everything is as very clear and concise as it can possibly be. But more importantly, make sure that the facts are straight. So that then if you've got to become a little bit more forceful, and I don't mean with your fists, I mean with your words, or you've got to get your message across in a clearer, more concise way, then you've got all the details there to be able to sort of present what you're presenting to that other person in a way that they can understand it, absorb it, and then hopefully you can find a resolution or a solution or get the answer that you were hoping for. So we also have Mars, the planet of action. Now, Mars is the planet that makes us all get out of bed every morning, gives us that drive, that determination, and sometimes we just want to roll over and throw the alarm clock out the window. I know I have those days, like everybody does. But Mars is actually sitting in Cancer at the moment, so it's going to be affecting the water signs the most, which is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, followed by the opposite sign of Cancer, which is Capricorn. It will wash over the remaining 8 signs, but won't be quite as intense or quite as powerful. So it will affect the whole 12 signs, but if you're not in those 4 that I mentioned, it's just going to be a sort of a gentle wash over the top of you. So Mars is asking us to sort of dig deep. Mars is asking us to go into our intuition, into our inner self, and sort of try and find solutions or answers there. He's asking us to sort of be firm, but at the same time be gentle and mothering and nurturing in our approach. Now, it doesn't mean by being nurturing that we're being necessarily soft. It means we can have a gentle approach, but at the same time, we can have some power behind it. We can have some determination. We can have, no, this is not acceptable. This is the only way I'll look at the situation or how we can best resolve it. But you do it in a gentle, non threatening sort of way. And that way, I think you'll get more help, you'll get more answers, you'll get more people to participate in the project at hand than if you come in like a bull in the china shop, like Mars tends to do a lot of the time, and start being dictatorial and dictate to everyone. You'll get nowhere. Where if you try that softer approach, that gently, gently does it approach, I think you'll achieve more. Now we have Jupiter, the planet of expansion, opportunity, and luck. And this is one of those planets that everybody wants in their sign for the moment because they feel then, this is when I'm really going to sort of hit the big time, or I'm going to win the lottery, or something amazing is going to happen to me. Yes, all of those things are possible when Jupiter's there, but Jupiter also expands waistlines. So we need to be a little bit careful of that too. So when Jupiter's sitting in your sign, not only does he bring good fortune and opportunities to you, he can also bring an expanding waistline, because you tend to overindulge or overcompensate for things, or say to yourself, well, it doesn't matter if I have a third slice of chocolate cake, really don't need it, but I just fancy it. Instead of just stopping at one or half a slice, you keep going. So just be aware of that when Jupiter's sitting in your sign. Jupiter's actually in Gemini this week. Now, so it's going to be affecting mainly the air signs, which is Jupiter is in Gemini, which is Libra and Aquarius, and the opposite sign of Sagittarius. So all these particular signs have opportunities for wonderful new things to be crossing their path, or things to be starting to be built up behind the scenes that will create new opportunities, or create that the world is sort of looking at them and asking them to sort of shine a little bit more. I'm not saying it's just limited to those four signs. I'm saying they're the ones that are in the spotlight. For the rest of you, it'll just sort of wash over in a very sort of gentle way, that all of a sudden maybe somebody in the office or the workplace has finally noticed you. You've only been there 10 years and they've suddenly realised that you're a valuable employee and you've got something to contribute. And, you might find you'll get employee of the month or get picked to go in something special, and you think, gee, that's only taken 10 years. Well, that's the sort of thing, the sort of benefits that Jupiter can bring. So it's not necessarily saying every one of the 12 signs are going to win the lottery. It'd be nice if we did, but we don't necessarily do those things. It's about bringing opportunities and opening up opportunities for us that may not have always been available to us. Now, look, there's a lot of talk at the moment about super full moons and things like that. Everybody has a different interpretation of what a super full moon is. A super moon just means the moon's closer to the planet Earth and it's more luminous in the sky. It doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, and I've been in astrology for well over 40 years, it doesn't necessarily intensify the energy of the moon. I know a lot of people say it does. A lot of people say, oh, I'm so affected because it's a super full moon. A lot of that, I think, is what we tell ourselves. And as I said, yes, it's bigger in the sky. It's more illuminated. It's more obvious if you walk outside of a night and have a look, and the moon's very, very bright. So the moon is actually in Pisces at the moment. It's been there for about the last 12 hours, be there for another approximately 24 hours to go. And it's bringing with it sort of endings, change and transformation, because the Pisces energy is the 12th sign of the zodiac. So it means that we've got the power of all the previous 11 signs or the previous 11 full moons. So we have the opportunity to get to the bottom of emotional issues. Now, for some people, they'll have trouble sleeping. For other people, they'll say, gee, I've been sleeping like a log with this full moon. It just depends on you. And it's not always, are we governed by the moon, whether or not we can sleep or not. And it doesn't matter what your actual sun sign is. You're not affected by the full moon, because if you're a Pisces and the full moon's in Pisces, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to affect you more than somebody that's got it in Virgo. It's your personal sort of how you handle a full moon. So enjoy the time. Look at things that maybe need to be sorted out, things that have come to a completion that we can finally put away. And also sort of just make sure that we're taking care of our mental health, because Pisces does govern things like our emotions, but more our mental health emotions. And sometimes we need to just have a little bit of a breather. Sometimes we need to take ourselves out of work for the day and just go do something frivolous. Go to the beach, go to the river, go for a picnic, go to the pictures, do something that's really conducive to our mental health. I'm not sure every boss would agree with me, but sometimes we need to do that for ourselves. And by doing that, we come back recharged, refreshed, and really ready to go again and put in an almighty effort the next time we're at work or the next project that we're working on. So we also have Saturn sitting in Pisces at the moment. Now, Saturn's like the taskmaster. He's like the father figure of the zodiac. He sort of comes in and waves his big stick and says, we're all going to do as we're told, and we're going to do it in a structured, positive way. Now, this is mainly affecting water signs again, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, and the opposite sign of Virgo. But it is washing over the 12 signs, the remaining 8 signs of the zodiac. So everybody is starting to feel the effects of Saturn in some sort of way. And some people are saying to me, gee, it's great. I've got real structure now in my creativity. I really can be structured at work, that, I find it easy to sort of switch my mind on to sort of, get into tasks that maybe I'd been putting off doing before. So this is where, Saturn here can be very, very helpful. He also sort of can bring sort of, more order to our lives. And for a lot of Pisceans, they've been through a lot in this last couple of years where they've had to restructure their lives in ways that they never thought, whether it's been family, work, or retirement, or just starting out in your career, whatever the case may be, they've all had something that they've really had to work towards. And particularly Pisces, it's been not necessarily the easiest thing, because the Pisces don't necessarily want to take responsibility for things. They like to sort of be in a creative energy most of the time, and sort of like to want to like everybody. And for some Pisceans, it's been a real wake-up call that not everybody can be trusted, not everybody's a nice person, that you have to judge people for who they are and what they bring to the table or how they treat you. So it's been a little bit of a wake-up call, but in a positive sort of way, because it's been a very structured wake-up call, and it's given them an edge now that I don't think I've ever seen before with Pisces, where not necessarily am I saying they've grown up, but what I'm saying is they're starting to look at things still in a creative slant, but with a lot of structure, and that's a good thing. Now, Pluto slipped back into Capricorn. Now, look, we talked about for many, many years on this show, Pluto and Capricorn and how it affects everybody. Now, Pluto and Capricorn has slipped back into Capricorn now until November the 19th this year. Now, this is a really big deal because Pluto will not be back here again in our lifetime. He won't be back for over 200 years. So we need to be very aware of this last push of Pluto to try and sort things out. Now, it's in Capricorn, so it's going to affect the earth signs, which is Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, and the opposite sign of Cancer, but it does wash over the whole 12 signs. And it washes over the 12 signs not so much in necessarily a personal sort of way, but in a more global sort of way when we talk about things like big business, governments, the potential of war, when we talk about elections, when we talk about anything of an official level. Now, I know in the US you're into sort of, the season of elections over there, and lots of campaigns and lots of things going on and things like that. And lots of, people are sort of trying to share messages with you, whether it's in a local rally, a local newspaper, media, or through social media. And there's just so much, it's so full on that sometimes you just want to flick that switch and say, please all go away. I need just some breathing space. I know here in Australia, we're starting to gear up for elections here too. We've got a local one coming up. Oh, well, when I say local, our state election coming up next month. And then we'll be heading into a federal one here, which is our big one here next year. So, there's lots of elections going on around the world. And this is the time where you've got to try and sift through the garbage. What is the trash? What is the garbage that they're talking about, that they're spewing out of their mouths? Take a chill pill and sort of try and look at it from a very practical sort of logical way, because a lot of what's going on at the moment is a lot of things where people are just desperate. And I'm talking about particularly in political arenas. They're desperate. They're peddling the same old wares. They've packaged it or put a shiny new cover on it, but still the basic message underneath is the same old trash that they've been peddling for years. They haven't actually learnt anything. So you have to be very careful that you make sure that you carefully look at who you might be going to vote for. Here in Australia, it's compulsory. We don't get a choice. You have to vote. So we have to sort of, pay some sort of attention to things. I know in other regions of the world, it's not necessarily compulsory, but if you are inclined to vote, make sure that you take away from looking at the shiny facade. Look at the actual nuts and bolts behind it, and this will help you make informed choices, because Pluto's role here is to completely transform or try and make things better. And it's trying to make things better for this one last bout in the way that of political areas around the world and anything to do with governments or things that govern things. It's trying to have one almighty push between now and November 19 to try and straighten things up so that he can leave things in a better place than where he found them. So I can't emphasize how important this is, that, no matter how Pluto affects you, make sure that you dot all your I's and cross all your T's. It's very, very important. Now, we also need to sort of talk about very quickly about Chiron in Aries. Now, Chiron is the planet that's the wounded healer. Now, Chiron comes into everybody's chart. It's sort of one of those things that some astrologers work with and some don't. I personally like Chiron because to me it sort of tells me in a person's personal natal chart where they need to do their most healing. Now, at the moment, Aries people are really under the spotlight with Chiron. They've really got to dig deep into their souls and ask themselves, what is it that Chiron's asking them to heal? Now, sometimes it's an emotional level, sometimes it's a superficial level, sometimes it's your past, sometimes it's connected with relatives, sometimes it's coming to peace or come to terms with that, you need to make a major change in your life, maybe move back to where you were born or where you grew up, and there's sort of a lot of healing to go on there. And I know a lot of people get stuck in, and particularly people that should know better, and I'm talking about psychics and healers and mystics and all those sort of people that come under that umbrella of my area of work, are probably the worst in the world for healing themselves or taking notice of the messages that are coming through. And the messages can come through in many, many different forms. They can be, a message from your spirit guides. They can be in your readings or the charts or the things, the tools that you work with. And sometimes it's just events in life that sort of are pushing at you or knocking on the door or making you sort of think about things and saying, no, I don't want to go that way. And we go so intently to try and go the opposite way to what we're being shown or what we're being guided, because that wasn't where we thought we should have been heading, that we try and fight it tooth and nail until the point that it becomes to an explosion point and there is no choice, but we have to make a change. So please be aware, if you are an Aries, and this is affecting Aries more than any of the other 12 signs, that there is change in the air. Make sure that you listen to your inner voice or your guides or your tools of the trade, and particularly if you're a healer or a psychic, don't ignore it. You're not above reproach. You're not above the rest of us. Nobody gave you any more superpowers than other people, and sometimes you're your own worst enemy. So you need to dig deep into your soul and work with the energy, and also work with the energy of Pluto and Capricorn, because he's trying to transform you. He's trying to help you sort of see and become the best person that you can become. And if Aries people particularly listen to this, they will find that there's some amazing rewards as you come out the other side. So we're going to take our first caller, which is Nina in Bridgeport in Connecticut. Are you there? Hello, are you there, Nina?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, sweetie?
Yes, I was wondering, when will I be having a baby?
Okay. Baby questions are one of those sort of very tricky questions, sweetie, that, different rules around the world govern different things, and it comes under the heading of health. And it's one of those areas that we're not particularly supposed to work with, but I can work with it on an energetic level and inform you that I don't think it's too far away. I think the problem is that you've set yourself up on an emotional level where everything's sort of geared around that, and you're not sort of allowing other areas in your life to flow. It's like I want to ask you to take a chill pill and just sort of relax, breathe out, and sort of say, okay, yes, look, I'd love to have a baby, but at the moment I can focus my energy over here on work or something that is really important to me. I can sort of focus on other things, and that's not a bad thing. I feel that there's going to be some changes that are going to come up in your life in the next few months. And I feel by sort of focusing your energy on a new project or a new hobby will take the edge off a little bit of being wanting so much to be a mum, that you're focused on, say, taking up tennis. You're going off and you're having great games and you're making some new friends, and then all of a sudden you'll find out that there's a baby on the way, that you sort of you took the focus off the baby for the moment, and then there's the news of baby on the way. So do you have any children so far, sweetie?
No, I don't. I feel like I can't get pregnant. That's how I feel. But my doctor told me that I could. But I
Well,
don't
they're
know.
showing
I
me
was
the
with
sign of
somebody,
three babies.
3 babies.
Yeah, but when they show me the pregnancy sign of three babies, that can mean miscarriages, abortions, and live babies. So if you've
Oh
already
no, I
had,
never had a. I'm sorry, I never had a miscarriage, and I never got an abortion. And I
okay,
am a twin, but my twin passed away.
yeah, no, what happened in your life with your twin and your twin passing away doesn't show on my monitor, if you want to call it that, in my head of the potential. So they're showing me potential of three babies. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have three babies, but there's potential there of three babies. So, the fact that you don't feel that you can have children, they're not showing me that on a soul level. They're showing me potentially three babies.
So yeah, and then my love life isn't really going too good. I was
Mhm.
with my boyfriend for almost a year and a half, and it was really
Mhm.
domestic. And now I have my guard up. Um, so it's like as of right now,
And
I'm in like my alone era, which I'm just working on what I have to do for myself.
yeah, and that's good. By working on what you have to do for yourself, if you're meant to have a baby, then a baby will come. But, just because there's potentially three babies doesn't mean you've got to give birth to three babies. I'm just saying that's what your soul is sharing with me. That was what was projected as the potential of what you could do. Whether you choose to have three babies or not is entirely up to you. Some people say to me, I don't want children, and that's fine. That's your choice. Anyway, Nina, that's where we're going to leave you. We're going to talk with Sue now in Long Island in New York. Are you there, Sue?
Yeah, I'm here.
You have a question for me, please, Sue?
Yeah, I wanted to see if you can do like a general reading, kind of about the same thing about pregnancy. If
Right,
you see
okay.
me getting pregnant.
Well, number one, yes, I do. And it's really interesting because I think you've vacillated, Sue, between wanting to be a mum and not, haven't you, over the time? It's sort of like, I have these real pockets where I really want a baby, and then it's like, oh no, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. So I think everything's now in alignment, if I can put it that way, that, your mind, body, and soul, everything's ready for that sort of thing. Look, I'm not sure that there's going to be a baby news under the Christmas tree this year, Sue, but I don't think it's too far into next year. Was there a massive change that happened in your life earlier this year around March, April, May?
I mean, last year I did have a miscarriage in
Yeah,
like
no, I'm not
April.
talking about a miscarriage, sweetie. I'm talking about something that's happened this year that was a turning point in your life. And I'm sorry that you had a miscarriage. That wasn't the
I mean,
first, though, was it?
well, I had one miscarriage and one chemical. So
Right.
I
Okay.
got
Yeah.
pregnant twice for once out of 4 years of trying.
Yeah. Okay.
And now
Good.
I've been doing IVF.
Okay. Look, I think we've got to try and sort of just focus on the here and now, but they keep showing me something that changed. Something was like I flicked a light switch somewhere between March, April, May this year. Can you relate to what that was? You don't have to tell me.
I
You
mean,
just have to say yes or no.
I know, like my my kitten passed away in July, and that was
Right.
very devastating, and it's affecting me very much even like now because she was
Right.
like my baby.
Right.
Um,
Okay. All right. That must have been what I was picking up. But they're showing me now things are moving very, very clearly. So they showed me four babies in your path. If we've already, had two opportunities that didn't come to fruition, there's another two to come. But I'm sort of looking more around the early part of 2025, sweetie.
oh, because I'm scheduled for a transfer in about a month, so I guess that's not gonna
Right.
work.
No, look, always go in there with a positive thing. Look, just because you're going in a month's time, you may not be happy to announce it till the new year, once you've got over the first trimester. That might be sort of, that's how they'll show it to me. It's when you're ready to announce it to the world.
Oh, okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, so
'Cause I
go in with a positive attitude, sweetheart, and believe it's going to work and do everything possible. Look after yourself, get enough rest, enough vitamins, all those sort of things, and go in with a positive attitude that I'm going to come out pregnant.
I mean, how many babies do you see in my life?
I saw another two, sweetheart. I saw another two.
Oh, so I'll have 2 kids. That's good.
Yes.
Oh, that's good news. Thank you. So, but it will happen. Like you definitely see it
Yes,
in
it
my
will
cards.
happen. And I thought we're announcing the news early in 2025. So that's what I mean. If you're going in for a procedure next month, that'll give you plenty of time to make sure everything's, where it should be and be excited and enjoy the time with your husband and then announce it to the world that we're going to be parents. Anyway, Sue, that's where we've got to leave you, sweetie. We've come to the end of the show. It's always difficult for people when they're trying to sort of start a family and things aren't going well and you see other people that sort of, only just think about it and then there's a baby on the way. And it can be very emotional, it can be very difficult and very difficult for people to understand the disappointment and, the changes that it brings about in your life with this constant disappointment and sort of feeling like a failure. No one's ever a failure just because they can't reproduce. I know that these ladies, whatever's meant to be will be. The universe has a plan. Anyway, this week I want to leave you with a very, very old song, but it's a beautiful song, and it's a song that sort of every time I hear it, I just sort of stop and I think, what a beautiful singer that Lou Rawls is, and he sang some beautiful love songs. And this week I want to leave you with one of my favourites, and it's called Lady Love. And I think everybody in the world deserves to be treated the way Lou sings this song about his lady love. So until next week, have a great week. See you then. Bye for now.